Movie House Cinemas, proud sponsors of Conversations with Gerry Kelly. Treat yourself to a movie. Relax in VIP recliner seating without the VIP price tag. At Cityside, Glengormley, Mackara and Coleraine. Enjoy the show.
Good evening and welcome to Conversations with me, Gerry Kelly. My guest tonight is one of the most prolific and successful recording stars ever. He's the only artist in the world to score a hit in the UK album charts every year since 1988, outshining everyone from Michael Jackson and Madonna to U2 and the Rolling Stones. He comes from Donegal, and for over 40 years he's been entertaining audiences all over the world, and he's followed almost religiously by legions of loyal and dedicated fans. It can only be the man himself, Daniel O'Donnell.
Oh, Gerry, it's lovely to be here.
Great to see you again, and thanks for being my guest today.
Oh, I'm delighted.
We're honoured. Can I start with the fans? Because years ago I had the privilege of making a documentary with you, and we followed you around some of your concerts in England. We even went to your home in Tenerife. And the one thing that really struck me was the dedication and the loyalty of those fans. And you treat them with the utmost respect.
Well, you know, down through the years, I have been very, very fortunate, blessed to have a lot of loyal, as you say, fans. And I've gotten to know some of them, not all of them, but some of them, you know. And I suppose that's the nicest part of all. And some people have been coming to see me for, I suppose, nearly 40 years, as long as I'm on the road. And that's amazing that people... I suppose the loyalty comes with the music. Our type of music is not as fickle as...
Yes, the pop
you
sort
know,
of stuff. Yeah.
That it comes and goes. I think once people like what you do, they always like what you do. And that's very apparent.
But I have seen you after a 2 or 3 hour concert. You're standing for hours, posing for photographs, signing autographs. Surely you don't have to do that nowadays.
Well, meeting people was always enjoyable for me. I don't know, is it because of where I was brought up, that we had great interaction with everybody from the word go, you know, and I think that it's almost like just an extension of growing up, you know, where I was brought up.
It's not a gimmick. It's not a sales
No,
pitch.
I enjoy it. I genuinely
You
like.
genuinely do.
people.
Yes, I've seen that.
Yeah.
I've seen you firsthand.
Yeah, because it'd be easy some nights to go, you know. Sure, who would question it?
Yeah.
But I couldn't. I mean, I could count, I would say, on, well, the 2 hands, and I wouldn't even need the toes, the amount of nights that I didn't meet people before COVID. We did a couple of tours, you know, just after COVID, that it wasn't, you know, wouldn't have been clever to meet everybody for them and for us as well. But I suppose I always say that, you know, if you go somewhere and meet nobody, the journey was wasted.
Yeah.
You know, because it's who you meet. When I'm asked, you know, but where's the nicest places I've ever been, or where's the nicest place I've ever been, my mind always goes to who did I meet.
Really?
You know, because people make the stuff.
Yes, I know. But you've been on the road 40 years, as you say, over 40 years.
Over 40.
I mean, it's like it all sounds so glamorous and so exciting, but I'm sure at times it must feel like you're living in a fishbowl. You can't go out without somebody making a fuss of you.
Well, at the same time, I can go out a fair bit too, you know. I don't think about it myself. And if people say hello, you're just talking to people. Yeah. It's not... I never find it an intrusion, you know. And it's, you know, the one thing I suppose that when you start doing what I did, and I suppose what you do too, you want to do what you love.
Yeah.
And for me to do what I love, people have to like it or love it. And then because of that, people have a connection or feel a connection with you or
Yeah,
with me.
yeah.
So I it's not that I have to do it, but it's a two-way street. If the audience gets something, or if people get something out of what I do, look what I'm getting because they are coming to see me. Look at the joy that I'm getting because I enjoy singing. I've always have, and that's, you cannot put a price on that.
Understand, you've been on the road 40 years, as I say. You're now in your 60s. Can you believe it?
I know.
How do you keep things fresh, and how do you keep the enthusiasm going?
Well, a lot of the songs are the same. I've been singing them for, it's 40. I recorded My Donegal Shore and Stand Beside Me in February 1983. So that's 41 years ago. I started with Margaret. It'll be 44 years this January. And that was the first night, the 28th of January. And I sang Donegal Shore on the last tour in America. And it was no less enjoyable than it
Really?
was 40 years or 41 years ago when I started.
But 41 years ago, you recorded that. You paid to record it yourself, and you sold every single record yourself.
I did. I went up to Big Tom Studios. I probably it's the only date that I remember that I recorded, the 9th of February, 1983. And I went and recorded. My Donegal Shore was the first song that I sang that day, and Stand Beside Me. And I recorded another song called London Leaves that Boxcar Willie wrote.
Right.
And a song called Married by the Bible. And the first single was Stand Beside Me and My Donegal Shore. Stand Beside Me was up tempo. I suppose we felt that might have a better chance of getting played on the radio. But as it turned out, My Donegal Shore was the song that really caught on to people. And I wasn't the first to record it. I mean, Big Tom, it was written by Johnny Macaulay from Derry.
Yes.
And of course, Big Tom would have recorded pretty much all of Johnny's songs. I think he would have been more or less the first to record nearly all of Johnny's songs. But I heard it sung one night by a woman called Brady Cahill when I was with Margaret after we had finished whatever dance or concert was on. We were sitting about and there was a sing-song, and Brady Cahill was from Kerry, or is from Kerry, and she sang My Donegal Shore, and I just thought it was lovely. And I started singing it then.
How difficult was it at the start to break through?
Very, very difficult.
People forget that. You weren't an overnight hit.
I left Margaret in 1983 when I recorded, well, about the April time, and I started a band that summer. And that band was together for a year. We did whatever you could do. But up until 86, from 83 to 86, at the end of 85, I thought about packing it in, because I just felt it wasn't working.
And you couldn't get a manager even at that stage?
No, I had no. Well, I did have managers. In the beginning, when I went round different people, and I tell this on the stage. I was telling it this last time. I said, I said I went to 3 or 4 different people, and they thought what I was doing wasn't. There was no place for it. And I joke and said, they said that sure, nobody wants to hear that music. And here I am 40 years later, still singing it, But that was what people thought. I must have been very determined.
Well, you must have been, because the 80s, if you look back at the 80s, that was the time MTV arrived. There was all these music videos. Madonna was singing about material girls. There was a whole music revolution going on. And yet your music won through.
For me it did. And I think, the secret of any success is to do what you want to do, do what you love. I remember there was, when I was wanting to get on the road on my own, there was an opening in a pop band, and I got an audition, and the day before it, I just said I couldn't go, because that's not what I wanted to do. And even today, if somebody gave me a song today and said, this'll, be a number 1 record and it'll be great, if I didn't love it,
you wouldn't do it.
I just could not do it.
Wow.
It's not about what it brings to you, it's about what it brings to you from doing it. It's it's what you feel when you're doing something. And I think that, when I say I thought about giving up, I say that because there'll be young people there now that are out, and probably people think they're doing okay, and people might have thought I was doing okay, but it can be very difficult. And I remember I went to McClurkin in the December of '85. I had recorded the album with Ritz Records, but even though it was gaining momentum, I didn't feel it. And I went to Mick and I said, I don't think I'll be able to carry on. And he turned around and said to me, well, he says, we think, the album is getting good reaction.
Yeah.
And, if you maybe just went off the road and tried a different approach with your band. And we did. I went off the road in the January. And I had been, at that time was Nan Moy, a neighbour and friend of ours, was, looking after what I was doing. But neither I nor Nan knew how to go about it.
In the big world,
yeah. And then I stopped. And January we did the last show. And then in the March I went back on the road. And the first night we were back with the new band was in the Milford Inn in Donegal. And I remember Ronnie, God rest Ronnie, came in and he said, the place is packed. And we were changing down below the stage and the band went up, and when they went out, the people started to shout my name. And I was nearly afraid to go out. And from there on, it was literally like somebody put on a light.
Goodness.
And it's hard to figure, but my Donegal show was a big part of it.
Today, Daniel O'Donnell, it's a brand name.
Mm.
And you've got to maintain that brand name. And a brand name is big business. Are you good at that side of the business? Are you good looking after your own business? Because you have to maintain it.
Yeah, well, I don't really. I never did have to, I must say. I was very lucky that I had Sean Riley, was my manager, from '86 up until 16. And then Kieran Kavanagh, who sadly passed away at the beginning of, this year, the end of January. He came in when Sean retired. He was our choice when I spoke to Sean, and Kieran was the natural, person to take over, because I had worked with him from 1988. He did all our Irish shows, and I suppose I thought when Kieran came in, the two of us would see this out, But you never know what God has planned for anybody, and he's a great loss to me now.
I bet he is.
From a friend point of view as well as a business point of view. So Patricia, who would have worked with me, has stepped into.
So do they look after the business?
They look after, and
does
Joan,
Magella get involved in the business?
No, she doesn't. No,
oh, right.
She doesn't. So they're looking after everything now, and I suppose it's kind of keeping me going, just
keeping you going very well.
It's kind of an old ticker. As long as you keep it going, you'll be able to move about.
Mention Magella. You married Magella. Marriage changes people. I'm sure you were no exception. What were the changes in you? I
suppose, in my case, it just added a whole dimension. It made my life better. I mean, I was very content, the way I was. But when I met Magella, it just seemed like it was right. It was just right, and we just clicked. We're the dovetail joint,
Yeah.
And when I shouldn't be using dovetail joint because I was useless at woodwork at school, but you're just, it fits.
No, that's lovely to be able to say.
Yeah, and we get on well, and it's just, and then blessed with, Siobhan and Michael, of course, are from Magella's first marriage, but they were, from the word go, they were great with me and for me, and now both of them are married. Michael and Sarah were married last July, and they'll have their first, please God, their first baby in April.
But you already have three.
Living in Banbridge, Olivia and Archie and Luke.
And you are besotted with them.
They are just, I do joke, and I say, well, the grandchildren are mine, Siobhan and Michael are mine, kind of, their father's very much alive, so I was never anything to them but their friend, But I do joke on the stage, and I say, but it says, even though they came to me from another marriage, the grandchildren are mine. and they just, it's just, well, too, it's you cannot just explain what it's like, and their tune is louder than anything you're doing. Whatever's going in their world, your world adapts to that.
Exactly.
And
have you cut back in your world?
I have, very much.
Why is that? Is that age?
Yeah, just, I suppose, to get the time to have other things, and enjoy. And yes, you don't want to be tripping all the time.
So you've changed there, that there are other priorities in your life now, not just
well,
the
it's nice to have the time with the grandchildren. Magella and myself, we spend a bit of time in Tenerife every year, and to have time at home, and still to do the shows. This year coming, this year we did over 80 live concerts. And
as opposed to what we'd have done.
Well, and the heyday, maybe a couple of hundred, But I've cut down this coming year to just about 50.
Really?
Out of choice again.
Are you still going to tour? Are you still going to go to America,
touring.
Australia?
We're doing America. We were in Australia this year. I don't know that we'll go back to Australia and New Zealand again. But America and Canada, we do. But again, I could be out a lot more, because America's massive. You could never cover everywhere, and even Canada. But you have to decide what's best for me, or what I have to decide what's best for me. And somebody said, will you retire? I've no intention of retiring, but I don't think I will always tour the way I have done.
Very demanding.
And I think that you have to do things at the level that you feel able, and I feel I'm very well. I don't do anything to keep fit. I have these apps that are on. You get them all the time now, that you can do things on the chair. Chair yoga and chair this. I got one of them, and they're dinging me every morning, but I can't find a chair.
Does Magella accompany you on the tours, or does she
No,
not?
very, very rarely. She would, an odd time, she would go to Branson, and sometimes here, she would go to the shows. But she would always say, if somebody says, "Oh, you're going to be," and she says, "Do you go with your husband to his work?"
To work.
So. But then when we're home, we're 24/7, which is great, and we have no problem with that.
Well, you're not a party animal at all. I can't see.
No, never was.
No, you never were. But when you go to the likes of America or Canada or Australia, do you get a chance to see the country?
Over a period, I've seen a good bit, but I'm always aware why I'm there. The reason I'm there is to do the best concert that I can do. And if I spend my whole day running, looking at things, can I do the best? So the whole focus for me is the concert. I want that experience to be the best, and the best for me.
Yes.
Because I enjoy it too. And so that's what I think about.
You have the greatest sense of humour, Daniel. A really fabulous sense. And I was seen on a couple of the television shows that you did when you and Magella did the B&B things.
Yes, we had good fun
I
doing
thought it was very funny. Do you know how funny
We
you are?
didn't know.
Do you know how funny
Well,
you are?
we didn't set out for it to be funny, you know. We were as we were, you know. And I remember we thought we were doing a travel show. We didn't think we were doing a reality show about us.
Yes.
The idea was that we would show Ireland, you know, and let people see where they could go in Ireland and the nice places. And but it just turned out
To the Daniel and Magella show.
and we didn't know until we went in. You know the way you go in to do the voiceovers, to talk over wee bits.
Yes.
And we started to laugh at the things that was happening, and we thought, God, this is kind of funny, you know. It is funny.
It was hilarious, absolutely hilarious.
But you couldn't anticipate what people. I remember on one of the first days we were down in Kerry on a beach and it was raining, and I don't know what we were doing, but I remember saying to Magella, I says, what are the people at home going to think about this? I says, the two of us out here on a strand, as we say at home, and Kerry and it raining, singing in the rain with an umbrella. But no, it was, and like there's hardly a day that we're going somewhere, especially through an airport. Somebody will say, are you going to do any more road trips?
Yes, yes.
And we almost did another last year, and then we talked about it and we thought, maybe it's better to leave it good.
Leave them wanting.
Do you know what I mean?
Yes, yes.
And not be...
Yeah, you can overdo it,
you
can't
can
you?
kill it too.
You can kill it up. You, Daniel, you've led the way for many a young star. You've shown them that it can be done if you're dedicated and you want to do it. And there are a lot of great young stars out there at the moment, aren't there, that you would mentor?
There certainly are. And the thing about it is that there was a whole generation before me.
Yes.
You know what I mean? When I go back to, you know, the ones that came before me, like Margaret and Big Tom and Brian Call and Philomena and Susan and Jean Stewart, all them people, they were the ones that set the pavement, you know, and allowed us. I came along then, and, you know, the 80s, when people thought there wouldn't be any more. And I suppose what that proved was that the music was going to live. And then in the 90s, people came, and then you have a whole group of young people, you know, that came along, like Nathan. I suppose Nathan is different in a way that Nathan became huge. You know, there's only some, and maybe only one every so often, that does that.
So it was you in your day, Nathan now today?
Absolutely.
Yeah.
But there's an amount that create a great career and give great pleasure to lots of people. There's loads. I mean, you had Jimmy Buckley. I shouldn't be naming names.
No, I know, but
now,
it's all...
But naming names is only just, you know, and Robert Mazzell and John McNichol and then Derek Ryan. There's songwriters too that are fantastic. And then on the girls, there's a whole lot of young girls that are tremendous. You know, like Jimmy's daughter Claudia and Cleona and Olivia Douglas, and there's loads of them that...
And it's young people coming in, and it's young people who are still going to these concerts.
And the thing about it is, and it happened with me, my generation, there was people came, they would like the music, but they were identifying with me.
Yes.
And young people identify with young people. And that's, you know, the music, certainly, they enjoy the music. But I think, you know, like Nathan's age group, there's a lot of them.
Yeah.
He's gone through the same things that they are. So they see in him maybe themselves.
Well, I tell you what, Daniel, there's a lot of young students working along here, and they couldn't wait to meet you today. So there you go. Daniel, thank you so much for being my guest. It's an absolute pleasure talking to you, as
lovely,
always.
and I'm delighted to see you back on the TV.
Thanks, Daniel.
We'll be back next year again.
You're on.
I'll have more to tell next year.
This new year, get ready for an exciting new series that brings you closer to the voices that shape our community. Join me as I sit down with beloved local figures from sport to media, from activists to everyday heroes. We'll journey into their lives, revealing the passions and the inspirations that drive them. Made with the help of our talented students at Belfast Metropolitan College, the next generation of media professionals. So who's talking? Join me to find out.
Heading to the North Coast, the Jet Centre in Coleraine offers entertainment for everyone. There's an 8-screen movie house cinema with all the best movies, 10-pin bowling, a massive arcade, soft play for the wee ones. Outdoors, there's a mini fun park and gem mining, plus an 18-hole floodlit mini golf course. Rain or shine, there's something for everyone here at the Jet Centre. Find out more at thejetcentre.co.uk.